My first real job I ever had in sales was with a computer technology startup firm. The owner knew me and he liked me and I was his guy. At 24, he invited me to his office and he fired me. My boss was my dad. I left that meeting hurt and angry, and I felt as though I had failed my dad. But over those 18 months, I had sold nothing. I didn't know what to say to people. I didn't know who to say it to. And the fear of picking up a phone and calling somebody else, the judgment, I couldn't take it. I found every excuse in the book not to do it. The fact is, I didn't want to be seen as a sales guy. Yet for the next 40 years, even until today, I've had this burning fire to make up for that failure to my dad, to prove myself at sales. Being fired was the very catalyst that pushed me to take action beyond my fears. And when I did, I realized sales isn't about me at all. It's about making a difference for others. And when I saw I could make a difference, that's when I became passionate about sales. And that passion is what had me become good at it. In 1943, Abraham Maslow published an article called The Theory of Human Motivation. And that's where he first talked about the hierarchy of human needs. A 5-stage model many of us are familiar with today. Maslow's theory, in a nutshell, says that in order to become the best self we can possibly be, we first must progress through the lower levels on the pyramid to get to the pinnacle. The pinnacle is self-actualization, which is living a mentally healthy, happy life with meaning. David Z., a Maslow researcher, says that one common characteristic of self-actualized people is that they have purpose. He says it this way: they have some mission in life, some task to fulfill, some problem outside themselves which enlists much of their energies. Now, this is not necessarily a task that they would prefer or choose for themselves. It may be a task that they feel is their responsibility, duty, or obligation. In general, these tasks are non-personal or unselfish, concerned rather with the good of mankind in general. What that means is that all of us in this room are designed to make a difference. And to make the kind of difference our heart calls for, we need to first get present to what it is that our heart calls for. And then making a difference becomes easy. Because the actions to take, the communications to make, are all consistent with what we really care about. It flows naturally. In 1980, 13-year-old Carrie Leitner was killed by a drunk driver. Carrie's mom, Candy Leitner, found out that the driver had injured another person only 2 days earlier and was furious that he was able to continue to drive. In her book, Giving Sorrow Words, she talks about being in a restaurant with friends, feeling enraged and helpless, and watching her own fury light a spark of action. She declared, "I'm going to start an organization because people need to know about this." It was then Candy Leitner started Mothers Against Drunk Drivers with her own savings. She went to the legislature and began making a difference. And her efforts are responsible for over 150 new laws passed within 2 years. Candy could not save her daughter's life, but the passion that Carrie's death sparked in her mom resulted in the development of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, saving over 370,000 lives to date. And how did she do that? Candy developed an unrelenting passion. And in doing so, she took the necessary actions and communications, making a difference. A housewife from Sacramento changed the world. So why not us? I mean, how many times have you read a complaint on Facebook or heard them from your friends and neighbors? Do you have a coworker that goes on and on and on incessantly about every complaint in the world? And fess up, many of us could admit as well to having a complaint or two ourselves from time to time, can't we? Yeah, I know I can. We all have something to say about something. We are unhappy about whatever one thing is, and yet the question is, are we taking the actions necessary to make things better? And if we're not, why not? What I've discovered is that we either have a lot of motivation or a lot of obstacle that holds us back. And we can either increase motivation or decrease obstacles. I believe it's easier to find the depth of our motivation than remove obstacles. It's a simple equation. When the desire to achieve, to make a difference, is greater than the fear of failing, we succeed. And just like Candy Lightner, when her outrage over drinking and driving hit so close to home, she couldn't help but take action. I believe we all have a passion to make a difference. So what's yours? What's one arena you'd like to change? Would you tackle gun control or school safety? How about animal rights or addiction or homelessness? Every year in Arizona, 2,000 children age out of the foster care system. It leaves them in a place where their life isn't going to work out very productively or well. And my heart breaks for them. My vision is to transform their lives with job skills, mentorship, and perhaps a college education. That's me. Think about your choice. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is that area to you? If you rate it as 7 or above, then chances are this is your passion. And I envision how different your concern could be. What would the world look like with that change? If the area you're selected is that important to you and you haven't taken action, ask yourself, why not? Why haven't I done something about it yet? I invite you to look at what might be getting in the way. Perhaps we're concerned. Maybe we're not able to impact such a big issue, or we're afraid our voice won't be heard, or we'll look foolish standing up for what we care about. Recently, we have seen a media frenzy over the Harvey Weinstein sexual assault lawsuit. For years, and even through today, thousands of sexual assault victims did not speak up. And yet when one person had the courage to file a lawsuit, the social media channels just lit up. Hashtag #MeToo, hashtag Time's Up. And as the fury continued, corporate leaders and celebrities' histories started catching up with them. It's so very easy to let our own fears of raising our voice get in the way of making a difference. But we can't let our internal dialogue, that voice that tells us that we don't matter or don't belong, get in the way. I mean, what would change in the world if you could make a difference, like in the Harvey Weinstein case? I pray that none of us ever has to be sexually harassed to make an impact, or lose a child like Candy Lightner. It's not necessary to have something tragic happen to motivate you. We can choose inspiration. I know that every one of us has a heart to make a big difference. Author Marianne Williamson says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And we ask ourselves, Who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, or fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? So, from my heart to yours, find your vision. Stand in the fear that might hold you back and make the difference that you know you were created to achieve. Thank you.